Today we're going to be going over the best football positions you should play based on your height and weight. Now, this video is going to be broken down into different positional categories, obviously, like you can see on this whiteboard, and this is going to be gauged off of like a freshman in high school. So I think a lot of you watching this are probably either freshmen in high school, maybe early on in your high school career, haven't picked a position, or maybe like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and you're maybe just not sure. So you can kind of use this as like, okay, I'm projected to be this tall, probably going to weigh this much when I'm in high school, so this might be the best position for you. So we're going to start out with quarterbacks and receivers. So for quarterbacks, I would say if you're a freshman in high school, I would say 5'8", and then like probably I would say like 130 pounds is probably a good gauge. Now again, quarterback's one of those weird positions where like your height and weight aren't the most important thing. Like yes, it helps, but you gotta have some attributes. You gotta have arm strength, you gotta have accuracy, you gotta know how to read a defense, you gotta have a quick release, you gotta have good mechanics. So it's not everything. Size isn't everything. That's why I start with that, because I feel like for the other positions, size probably plays a little bit more of a role. Now for receivers, I think you have a wider range. Like this is probably receiver and DB, I would say. So for receivers and DBs, I would probably say like 5'6" you could play. And then like on the lighter side of things, like 115 pounds, I would say is a good gauge. Now, if you have good hands, I would recommend receiver. If you don't have the greatest hands, I'd probably recommend DB, but that's probably the minimum size I would say to be a good receiver. But even if you're shorter than that, receiver and DB is probably your only options if you're on the lighter side of things. Now, with running backs, linebackers, tight ends, O-line, D-line, size matters a little bit more, and that's what we'll talk about next. Now, also, fellas, if you are a quarterback or wide receiver watching this video, we're gonna be doing 12 different training camps across the entire country for 2 full days this off season. So check out that very first link in the description below, guys, if you'd like to sign up to train with myself and my staff of coaches. We are gonna be coming out to Charlotte, North Carolina, Austin, Texas. Both of those camps, though, you guys, are completely sold out, and the rest of the camps I'm about to list will sell out within the next 1 to 2 months, so make sure you get your spots while they are still available. Then after that, we'll be coming out to Las Vegas, Nevada, Seattle, Washington, Chicago, Illinois, Newark, New Jersey, Birmingham, Alabama, Houston, Texas, Boston, Massachusetts, Columbus, Ohio, Boise, Idaho, and finishing off our camp tour in Los Angeles, California. So guys, want some more information, go to that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you there. Let's get back to this video. Now, let's talk about running backs and linebackers. So I feel like running backs, you could probably be the same height as a receiver DB, but you're gonna be on the heavier side of things. So I would probably say like around like 130 pounds. Now I know that's a similar weight to quarterbacks, but again, you're on the shorter side of things, so you probably are a little bit stockier. And I would say the 130 pounds like probably has to be a little bit more like muscle. 130 pounds, you can't be kind of like that like skinny fat, low body fat percentage. I would say, again, who am I to tell you based off your body type what position you can and can't play? If you're a good running back, you're a good running back. But that was what I would say the body type would fit. Now for linebackers, I would say you're probably gonna be on like the taller side of things, like 5'8", and you're probably gonna be like 150 pounds. And same thing as running backs, you're probably gonna be a little bit more solid, a lower body fat percentage, but a little bit on the thicker side of things. Now let's talk about tight end, O-line, and D-line. So for tight ends, I would probably say it like freshman in high school, if you're like 5'10", and then probably like 170 pounds, I would say that's probably a good gauge for you. Again, tight end's kind of a unique one. I think you could be a little bit heavier than 170, definitely could be taller. I think if you're just on the taller side of things, a little bit thinner than maybe an O-lineman or a D-lineman, but you're athletic, you have good hands, tight end would be a great spot for you. You have to understand that tight ends are probably the best athletes on the field when you break it down pound for pound. Like I think you look at an NFL tight end, they're 6'4", 225, they run like a 4.6 or a 4.7 40, like that's an insane athlete, you guys. So that's kind of where you're at with the tight end position. Now let's talk about O-line and D-line. I would probably say in that like 5'11" range for both, and I would probably say if you're 200 pounds or above, you're probably best cut out for offensive line or defensive line. Because like if you're 5'11", 200, and you're not like solid, like you're probably not playing running back or linebacker. If you're on the heavier side, high body fat percentage, 200 pounds or above is probably great for you at offensive line and defensive line. So this is what I would say, you guys. Again, I know it's kind of a wide variety. At the end of the day, your skills, your speed, your agility, that stuff also plays a major role. But if you're not sure, you can go off of this chart to pick your position.